Rocking on through the weekend vibes. Let's talk, we go live. Bobby fans and fish tank Hank. Miami Dolphins, we got your back. Saturday noon is the place to be. Catching Dolphins, talking fantasy. From the field to the fan debate. Fins talk today, don't be late. Fins up, we ride until the end. With Bobby and Hank, they're your best friends. Podcast popping every week, no delay. Join the crew, Fins talk today. Live chat and stats so prime. Miami hustle all the time. News and views will pave the way. Dive on in, it's Fins talk today. Pop plays and what went wrong. Breaking down each game so strong. Fans united, feel the beat. Fins talk, family can't be beat. Fins up, we ride until the end. With Bobby and Hank, they're your best friends. Podcast popping every week, no delay. Join the crew, Fins talk today. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby.
Well,
Bobby and Hank. Oh,
hello and welcome to another edition of Fins Talk today here on FTSN. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us here on a very awesome special episode of Fins Talk today. As we get closer and closer to the NFL draft, we are putting in the work. We are excited for what is going to go down. It's like, you always go like, what's going to happen when Miami's pick? And then something crazy happens. Like, okay, wait, maybe we need to go this pick. But I had to bring in the heavy guns. Obviously, I always got Fish Tank Hank, that man, the myth, the legends in the house. Appreciate him.
I kind of count every now and then.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, and so we got Fish Tank here. He's we gotta break this down. I know he's very busy. He's in the process of moving. We'll get into that. And again, of course, heavy guns, George of the Fins Faithful podcast. If you guys aren't already, which you're crazy if you're not, respectfully, you gotta go right now. We're after the show. Wait till after the show because that way you can enjoy the show. But go to the Fins Faithful podcast on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button because holy crap, the content George is pushing out with Jason Sarney, the interviews, the draft content. It is really cool to see. George, my brother, how are you, my man?
Good. Thank you for that kind intro. Always happy to be on with you guys. I think my first ever YouTube live was with you guys on Fins Talk today, Bobby and Hank. Yeah, man, we've been busy. It's been fun. The draft's here. We're less than a week away. We had probably over 120 prospect breakdowns on the show, myself on Mondays, then the on-season with Jason Sarney on Thursdays. So Monday, I have we're talking draft and a lot of stuff with Richmond Webb. If you didn't catch it, the last time I had Richmond on, his power went out.
Fell off, yeah.
So we rescheduled, so that should be fun. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we should have some draft shows, and it should be fun. Looking forward to finally putting some faces to these teams, Yeah,
100%. Fish Tank, my man, how are you?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We got in the afternoon, and then because we're staying at a hotel for 3 or 4 days while we're closing on the other house in down here, and we decided we'd go out and party. So we partied till about 5 a.m. this morning. Took a little nap, got back up.
We slept like 6 hours.
About 6 hours we got.
That's cool. There you go. I didn't get much sleep. I went to bed pre. I was watching. I got stuck watching Goliath on Amazon. It was one of the shows. Let me throw this on. And I'm at the end of season 2, and I wanted to finish it. I'm tired. It was like 2 in the morning. It's like, okay, I'll turn this off. And I was like, I slept for maybe like 3.5 hours, and all of a sudden I felt someone like getting real close. What the heck? And I looked over, and my son had crawled into bed. And of course, he's a kicker. So I'm like, oh, dude, come on. And my wife keeps pushing him to me. And I'm like, oh, dude. So I didn't get much sleep, but I'm here. I'm ready to go to be. I got 2 shows right now, and then I got WrestleMania preview, No Holds Barred this evening not this evening, actually 5 p.m. Eastern, night 1. Then tomorrow, we got on the clock Miami Dolphins draft show with Josh Wingate and Coach Vogel at 11 a.m. Eastern time here on FTSN, and which we'll be doing our Miami Dolphins mock draft. And then, of course, at 5 o'clock tomorrow, another episode of No Holds Barred for night 2 of WrestleMania. So, and then of course you got everything else through the week, and then the draft content coming in, and just get that out. Of course, guys, starting on Thursday, the NFL Draft live coverage show here on FTSN, Thursday, 8:00 Eastern Time. Sponsored each day of the draft coverage here on FTSN, sponsored by Caneswear at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. For a lucky viewer, as you stay throughout the show, you're watching the draft, you're reacting with us, you're discussing with us. At the end of the draft night, we'll pick a winner to get a Caneswear gift card to the shop. That's, Miami Dolphins gear, Heat, Panthers, Hurricanes, Inter Miami, whomever, whatever team you love, they got it in South Florida. And if you're not in South Florida, if you're not lucky like George and Fish Tank, Hank, and you're like me in Tennessee, but you love those teams and you want to get something from them, and you're like, man, but what if I win a gift card? I can't. Caneswear.com. Simple enough. And it's fast shipping. Brett and his team do a killer job, and obviously a killer podcast as well for the Caneswear podcast here on FTSN as well, with Miami Hurricanes content. But a lot to talk about for the Miami Dolphins, man. Obviously I've been I don't know how many times I could count. I can't count on my hand how many times I've been on this week just talking Dolphins draft, Dolphins news. I know George is the same way. It just keeps coming, George. It's never boring. But Fish Tank, my man, I know you've been busy, so I would love to hear from you. I know even though you're busy, you're in tune with everything going on in Miami. So, we know everything with the Tyreek situation. That doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon. Maybe we're surprised. Maybe a trade comes down. We will see, and we can get into that. But the trade that is admittedly going to happen eventually, from Chris Greer's own mouth, that they've made this decision between Jalen Ramsey and the Dolphins. They are seeking a trade for Jalen Ramsey. You saw that come through. What was your immediate reaction?
I said, man, the one piece that I didn't want to see drop, and we just talked about this last week, and I was like, man, that makes it hard. That makes it a lot harder on the Dolphins losing him. I mean, we could have lost Tyreek and got another wide receiver, Not that that's going to happen, but we could have lost him. But losing our top cornerback, that hurts, man. That's the second hardest position to fill, in my opinion, on the team is cornerback, right behind quarterback. And you got to have a good cornerback or you get eaten up. You get eaten up in this league, and the teams will see that weakness and go right after it. They'll throw deep balls all day long, especially teams. Josh Allen, hello. The guy loves to go deep. You don't have somebody back there, we're going to have problems. So, it's funny how Miami always drafts a cornerback. You know what I mean? We draft them when we don't need them. I hope we get one when we need one this time. So, that's just kind of how it goes. But where and when to pick one up, I don't know. Team needs, that's going to be a huge one, in my opinion. But there's a lot of people at BPA, too. So I'm not going to give up on that either. Probably what's his name's going to go early. What's his name again? Johnson. Will Johnson will probably go early out of Michigan. So I don't think he's going to be there. But then you have Jahade Barron, I believe, and out of Texas. So, that's
who may not be there either. He's flowing up. Here's the thing, right? First off, love both those guys. And I'm Will Johnson. Why he may be there for Miami, his talent should keep him in that top 10 situation. That alone, his talent. Yeah, superstar corner in college. Played in big games and made big moments. His injury history is concerning, which could put him in that 13 range for Miami. Jahdae Barron continues to go up boards. Like before I'm like, okay, maybe, and I love the kid. I am a big fan of the kid. and I'm absolutely comfortable at 13. But I was like, okay, maybe we could trade back and, maybe a couple spots, 16, 17, get an extra pick, and then we could grab Barron. But now it's like, wait a second, you're reading up on other teams and you see that teams are loving him and what he can do, and you're like, holy crap, he may not be there. Now, I will say this. Yes, there are preferred. We're going to go over our top 5 preferred players and all this. If a player doesn't get picked, right, if it's another guy, whatever, there are still a lot of good players that Miami could get. And there's other corners in the round 2, 3, even though you want to, there are guys, I'm going to mispronounce his name and George, you could help me with it. But Revel, who had an injury history as well, but he's one that he could be he's a round 1 prospect you get in round 2, and you could double dip. I double dipped in my recent mock. I'm about that, but I'm going to release tomorrow. But anyway, you're right, Fish Tank. And I will say though, because they're like, oh man, now we have to draft a corner. I'm going to be very honest with you. As I was doing these mocks before this Jalen Ramsey news came out, I was doing these mocks and I'm going by team rumors and team needs and everything. And I'm looking and I'm going BPA for Miami. And I'm like, okay, BPA would be this guy. A lot of time I was going BPA, man, that's corner. And I would go corner even before this was going down because corner is those Barron and Johnson are so freaking good. Travis Hunter, obviously, he's the number 1 guy, but let's be real. But those 2 guys right there, I mean, you're good with it. Now, does that force your hand at 13 to have to go corner? We'll see. But George, man, I know you've probably talked about this a lot, so forgive me. Yes, both Bobby's in the house. Bobby of the Dive Bar Podcast. Appreciate you, my brother, for tuning in. But you've been talked about a lot. I would love to know now, as you're here, the Jalen Ramsey situation. What was your initial reaction to it, and did that change your mind? Like, I know you were BPA. You and I are BPA. We've talked about that before. Good teams, even if they really need a position, they go BPA. And sometimes BPA is the position you need.
Yeah.
Where do you stand right now? Is it still BPA? Like if there's whoever's your top player on the board, if he's sitting there, yet you got Will Johnson and Barron sitting there, are you going to say, no, I need a corner. I need that top corner. Or do you say, no, I'm still going BPA? Did anything change after the Ramsey news?
No, I mean, the only thing changes, they have no starting corner now. So, but the one thing I did agree with Chris Greer in this pre-draft press conference, which was so uncomfortable to watch, was that this draft does align with their needs. So, like, when you do of course, you do it, Bobby, on your show. When you do the exercise of the mock draft, you get an idea of what might be there. And a lot of times, you're right. It's corner. It could be a defensive tackle. It could be one of the offensive lineman phones. So, like, they're going to have a hard time messing this up as far as need. But, yeah, I'm not changing my stance because they can always go get a veteran guy after the draft. But now they definitely have to take a corner in one of the first 2 rounds. I think the thing is, where do you want to go? You need interior defensive tackle. Again, round 2, there's depth. There's going to be guys there. Tyreek Williams, if he makes it, and Alfred Collins, Darius Alexander. So maybe you go round 1 on corner, and they both will line up to best player available and need. It really does line up for the Dolphins. Unlike, for example, a previous year when they took Cam Smith, who I had probably a 3rd-round grade on, and there was other guys on the board, they reached for that pick, I thought, and this time around, I think the stars are aligning for them. It's hard for them to mess up. It's what strategy they want, right? And you talk about the 2 guys on top, Johnson. I think Will Johnson is a top 5 or 6 player in this draft. There's not many this draft. There's not a ton of blue chip players. There might be 3 or 4, and then there's a drop. It starts with those linemen. To me, he's one of them. I think we're overthinking this whole thing with Will Johnson. I think we've had a lot of time. The tape in 23 was better, the turf toe injury, all that stuff. But a 6'2" corner with his instincts, plant and drive ability, and shut down one half of the boundary, they don't come around that often. So in the long speed, good enough for me on film. I don't know about you. I'm sure you watched the film, Bobby. I didn't have issues with the long speed. As far as Jahad Barron, again, another really good player. Like, his tape is fun, right? He could play everywhere. He's like a Brian Branch type player. Slot, nickel, free safety, corner. My only concern with him is, right, and this is if you have that concern, is take all this stuff away, the sum of all the parts. What is he as a pure outside boundary corner? There's only 1 year experience. But you take him, it's a B+ pick. His film is good. But that'd be my concern. I have Johnson higher. He'd be the home run pick for me at 13. And as far as the Jalen Ramsey news, I just tried to figure it out. It doesn't make sense. If you wanted to sell me that you wanted to move on, get younger at that position, or you have disagreements and it's time to move on, fine. But to try to sell us this was a Dolphins decision. No, this was a guy who didn't like what he saw in the building, doesn't see this team winning, wants off the sinking ship, and they don't know how to word it. They don't know how to word it because it's embarrassment. Now, you don't do this. You don't make this announcement 2 weeks or a week before the draft, right?
No.
This is something, if you wanted to do it, you get it done in March. So it made no sense to me. And call it what you want. It's a reset. And the fact that they won't call it a reset is kind of insulting our intelligence here. But yeah.
No, man, I get it, and you're right, and that's why, when they had to do a press conference for it, I thought it made Chris Greer look worse than it. He could have this could have been like a rumor, let it float around, and on draft day, if you make a deal, you make a deal, and we deal with it. But no, you have to go out and go, hey, yeah, we've made a decision, we're gonna go ahead and move on, Which again, I agree with you. He said he never demanded a trade, he never said to renegotiate his deal. Let's be real. This probably was been brewing for a while. Jalen Ramsey probably went to them and said, hey, man, what's the plan? We're losing Teron Armstead. We're losing Calais Campbell. Tyreek's in the news. QB can't stay out. Whatever. What's the plan? He said, I came here to win. And they said, give us some time. Let's figure this out. Offseason comes around. More stuff comes out. Maybe they meet up. And he's like, what is this? What is the deal? We can't give you the deal right now. Well, then maybe we need to make a decision and move on from each other. And that's probably what went down. Now, again, I will say, before this happened, what's up, Vamos Gatos? Appreciate you watching. Thank you. DSG in the house. But I will say,
Dive bar. I was at a frog.
But what catch back up before the Jalen Ramsey news. I was about drafting. I was really on the corner position. I kept, and even like in rounds 2, like early on, and then round 1, I kept going back, and I, watch Will Johnson, and like you said, don't think too much into it. Like, injury history is concerning, right? I watch Will Johnson. I read, you see his numbers, you see what he's done. You look at his history. You're like, this guy has done it on the biggest stage. For top coach in Harbaugh, he's done it all. If you could get him. You get him. And like you said, I've said, this is a guy who should be in that top 5, top 10 conversation, but more than likely, he could get down to 13 because of the concern of injuries. And of course, injury, Chris Greer, but if you come away with Will Johnson, that's a home run hit, right? You sit there and you go, hey man, injury.
Bobby, I'll ask you, how would you feel? Like, you'd feel a little bit better if it's Johnson than Barron, right? Like, not that they're both good. Like, this is not.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
You and I, I love having these conversations with you. I know we've been both very busy, so we haven't had them.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you'll go, damn, Bobby, I didn't know you were going that route. Injury drink. Hold on a second. Let me say so. It's coffee, but still
water,
some Bustelo.
Let me get a shot first.
If we say injury, we drink whatever.
I will say Barron's a safer option and good option.
But I'll tell you though, I love his film, man.
I
went into it. Like I was, we go with these top 10 guys. We go with 10 guys, and then we make sure those are done, and then we get to the next group of guys, and we go, And as you start doing the mock draft, you start looking at the position. That's when you go, let me read on this guy because he's available in this round. Let me go and watch him, and that's when you do that. But the more I watched today, Barron, the more I fell in love with the prospect.
Yeah,
and
he stands out. He
stands out, man. And I'll be honest,
no
on grade alone, and I've explained how that works when we, we're watching and we're going, okay, 5, 7, 8, whatever, and it comes out. I have him as my second corner on the board. I love him. You brought this up. You brought this up on your last show. I saw bits and pieces of it, and you've just brought it up now. His versatility obviously is huge for me. let me see here. I just want to say, like last year was the year he primarily lined up outside. Looking at my notes, I sent this all to my wife. I was like, I was making notes at work while I'm working, and I sent her a bunch of like tweet messages, and she's like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, "Just leave it alone. It's for me." So I have it on. So that's what I'm reading off of. But the numbers lined up primarily outside for the first time in 24. That's he 893 snaps in the slot, 760 snaps at outside corner, 475 in box, and 51 at deep safety. He press man, zone, awful. It does it all. He fits really any scheme.
Yeah.
You know,
he's got a little Brian Branch to him. Like,
he does.
That's the thing with me. Like, he's fun from a lot of spots. The only concern I have on him, because the tape is really good. Like, if you took Jod Barron, I'm fine with it. You started the draft really well, but I take all the versatility, and that might mean that might mean a lot. But for me, this team needs an outside boundary corner, pure outside boundary corner, and I would prefer Johnson in that role. But I would have no complaints with Barron. He's right in that range for me.
Yeah, and I get it. And again, like I said, I would, if I'm Miami, I would double dip. I would, if that means you got another corner, because this Barron could play everything. This numbers alone, I just want to read that last year's numbers and what he did when he was primarily outside corner. He was this is, I want to make sure is this PFF? I don't know if it is. I think it may be, but a 90.7 grade. But he played 971 snaps, 541 coverage snaps, 37 receptions off 68 targets, 54.4% completion percentage on him, only 284 yards allowed, 0 touchdowns, 5 INTs.
Yeah.
That was primarily outside corner. And here's the thing, George, right? Like, and Hank, for me, like, I understand that point, right? And if you come away with Will Johnson, like, I'm the same way. Because just because he's third doesn't mean like, oh, I think no. You come away with Will Johnson, you should be happy with what you've gotten.
Yeah.
Because if you come away with Barron, you should be equally as happy, in my opinion. And because Barron, again, like you said, he can do it all.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we lost Javon Holland. We have these two guys. Oh, this guy gets injured. Plug him up. That's why I think you double dip. Now, here's the problem. We talk about, I saw somebody talking about, oh, we need a big corner. We need a 6'1" guy like Jalen Ramsey. What about when Chris Greer talked about Cam Smith? He says, we're done holding your hand. You got to step up. That's telling me they're going to push him. They're going to try to push him to start. He's going to take up that role. He's a 6'1" guy. I agree with you. He was overdrafted. Obviously, that's more proven. I don't like to say overdrafted early, just because, like, we could say, George, right, Hank, man, I didn't have that guy graded there. I would have been more comfortable here. But let's see it play out. Maybe he lives up to that role. Cam Smith hasn't done that yet, and that sucks. Now, I hope that when he does, hopefully he does. Hopefully he, beside another young corner, he steps up and makes it big. If not, I think Miami later in the draft needs to double dip. There's guys in there. There's, I don't know how far back they could, how far back some of these guys are going to fall. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But guy that I started watching that I'm going to watch more of that's kind of intriguing me is Frazier. He's from a smaller school.
He can fly. Oh, he's long, fast.
Oh, dude,
yeah,
he's really caught my eye. He's 6'3". He's a big dude, but he's six INTs. But I'm starting to watch some film on him, but that's somebody that I'm like late in the draft.
You'll like him. Yeah, he's good. I've seen.
Yeah, man.
He's fun the way he's. I mean, his length is kind of like Tyreek Woolen. You remember?
Yes.
The corner from Seattle. He kind of reminded me.
That's cool. UTSA.
Yeah. Let me finish up a point on
yeah, go ahead, man.
Bobby from Dibar mentioned too, the versatility is what Weaver loves. And I've been hearing, from a couple of people I had on that Barron might go ahead of Johnson. Like, it's not. Don't be surprised.
I hate it. I hate it.
You're not wrong there. And when we're talking about these two guys, we're not talking much different. Like it's like you like Johnson, you like Barron, but it's a very small gap between the two, right? What I would like, if we do take Barron, let's go get Azare Thomas in round 2, Benjamin Morris in round 2. I'm a huge Azari Tom. He's a dog, man. You want leadership, you want work ethic in that building because they need to start getting players.
Yep.
That eventually 3 or 4 years from now can become leaders because the locker room is voided of that. And he's a dog. Now you do Barron, then you could take Barron and do whatever you want with him. We got okay. Thomas is one of our outside corners, and then we got Barron. You know what? Let's move Kohu to the outside display, and let's put Barron in the slot, or we move. We take Melifanu off the field. We put Barron there. We have who knows who's on the other outside corner. Maybe you sign hopefully Asante Samuel Jr. in post draft free agency. So it is the chess piece. What I'm saying alone with just Jahad Barron, I just want another outside corner. That's my point. But it's what flavor of ice cream you like in this draft. Because like I told you backstage, Bobby, 25 to 55, to be completely honest, in this draft, not
much difference.
Not much difference. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Barron or Johnson. I just can't get the 23 tape out of my head, man. And maybe it's the Michigan he wears number 2 thing but like that was top 5 superstar film. You know what I mean?
That's why I really don't think you could go wrong with either one.
I agree. We're arguing. It's not like we're really arguing about which do you like vanilla or chocolate ice cream, right? And
that's what I'll say.
Both, right?
Between those two guys, it's the grades are very close. When I say, Jahad Barron is 2, and then 3 is Will Johnson. It's very close. But if they come away with Will Johnson, I'm not going, oh God, you know what I mean? They went Will Johnson over Barron. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm excited because I know what he's done. I know what he's about. Fish Tank, has that changed for you? I know you've been BPA as well, but are you now in the sense of hey, I don't know, let's think of a BPA player. I don't want to say a guy because you might go, I don't really, but no, whether it's McMillan or Genty or whomever, let's say somehow, some way those guys are there at 13. And let's say it's Jahad Barron sitting there. You're sitting there. Would you go BPA or are you going to go, no, we're going to go corner?
Wow. That would be hard. That would be hard because you got tight ends, linebackers, offensive tackles, defensive tackles, safeties, edge, quarterbacks. That's what you got at 13 to pick from. You got to go BPA at that, best player available. You have to. And to me, if Tyler Warren's there, that's the direction I would go for our first pick.
Okay. Tyler Warren, the tight end. Got you. Yeah. All right. Yeah, and that's could be a BPA pick.
He might be the BPA when we get to 13. He might not be there also. But
don't forget about the other tight end too. He's just as good.
Loveland. Yes, Colston Loveland. I just started. It's funny you said it because I was looking at it and I'm going, and I know everybody keeps talking about Tyler Warren, but then I look at Colston Loveland and I got to watch more film on him. But I see his name, but then I look at his school, Michigan, and I'm going, oh, I'm like, okay. Now what if this is a great question for Vamos Gatos? What if a quarterback is the best player available? So we know what Chris Greer said. They're not looking at this, but I guess we could play that game if you want because
Sanders is sitting there.
Well, Yesay on check down with Finstanza and Russ. Sanders was sitting there. Miami did not take him there, but Fish Tank or George, should Miami consider it? I'll just ask that simple question: should Miami at that point consider taking Sanders at 13 if he's there?
All right. The answer is no, because I don't want to take a quarterback. It's because he's not. Well, he won't be the best player on the board for me. To me, I have him probably around the 30 ranked player in this draft. I have one. There's only one quarterback I would consider at 13, and he's going 1 overall. Don't love this quarterback draft at all.
No.
If you thought Shedeur Sanders or the Dolphins starter, I thought he was a top 5, 8 quarterback prospect, and I'd have no problem pulling the trigger because you have the most fragile quarterback in the NFL without a doubt. So those days are over of babying Tua and not worrying about what's in the quarterback room. But no, I wouldn't take him, not because he's a quarterback, because I just don't think he's worthy of that pick.
Fish Tank?
For me, we need a number 2 bad for the next 2 years. I don't like the way when I watched him at his pro day, he does a lot of double clutching. Like before, he likes to pad that ball.
He holds on to it.
And I don't know. I can't put somebody like that behind our line. There's no way he'd get smacked around back there. So I wouldn't consider him good enough. I'd still take I mean, you got Kelvin Banks, Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, Starks. I mean, the cornerbacks we already mentioned. I wouldn't be taking him. No. Especially with all the needs Miami has. If you balance the needs with the BPA, it's definitely not Sanders.
Agreed.
No, and I would say if Miami does go quarterback, it's in the mid rounds, and you're looking at somebody like maybe they had dinner with Quinn Ewers from Texas. They Tyler Shaw, who seems to be going up boards from Louisville. There's different guys there, but for me, I'm gonna be honest. This mock that I'm working on, I don't have a quarterback there right now. I don't. There's players that are there that I like more than the quarterback. And I'll just say, like, okay, you got Zach Wilson sitting there. Is that any type of QB? No, I would rather if you had to do it. Like if they do it, I'm not upset. Like if they go round 3, 4, whatever, and they get a QB, if that's Tyler Shaw, who's an older, who he's done really well. That's a really good pick at that point in time. But I'm okay if you don't go quarterback because you got Zach Wilson there. He's young enough that you could kind of get away with, hey, we'll see what we have in him if everything goes to hell. And then next year, if you have to make the move to do it, you go ahead and do it. Well, that's true. If Sanders is sitting there, you pick up the phone. If somebody's calling you, answer that phone and see what you could get. Bobby's there and Divar is saying that.
Yeah,
that's an option you absolutely have to consider.
Let me ask you: you guys think our team's going to be that desperate to move up for him? Though, I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so.
No, trade back.
Well, but maybe a team like
maybe
Steelers may look to try to say, hey, let's just make sure we secure him and get him in there.
Yeah,
that's a team that I could see possibly. And I don't know how big of a trade up that is. I don't have the draft trade chart in front of me.
Probably looking at a third round pick or something like that.
Which is fine, dude. I'm down with that. You give me a 3rd round pick and move down to that pick.
I think they have pick 83. I think is their pick because I did a mock and I did a trade with them yet. So. Yeah, we have that gap between 48 and 98. That's one thing they need to do in this draft is get a pick between 48 and 98 because you could talk about all these 10 picks, but there's not a lot of premium picks.
Yeah. No, you got to get in the top one. You got to stay in the top.
You got to get one more pick in between 48 and 98. And that 100%. Hopefully, I don't know if Jalen Ramsey will bring that. Somebody had a good point about, I forget what team that had 2 third-round picks and familiar with Ramsey. I saw it on Twitter, but they had like picked 80 something or 90 something. Like I would do that, but I think the best you get for Ramsey might be a 4th. I don't know what you guys think.
I think Ramsey. I think I'm with you. I'm between third and a 4th. I know somebody like with Tyreek. I had to tell him the same type of thing. I'm like, you might be able to package Ramsey and this another pick and then move up in a
like one of our like Scotty said one of our 5s with Ramsey.
Yeah, exactly.
I do that.
Where you could possibly get in there and do that. I had to tell you, I had to break the news because I was like, oh, we gotta get like, well, Chris Greer even said it, 2 first-round picks for Tyreek.
Don't
stop it, bro. And he only said that. Let's be real. He said it because he knows he's not going to get it.
You give me a 4th-round pick for Tyreek, I'll pack his back.
That's a win, bro. That's a win. Take it and walk away. Take it and walk away.
I saw somebody had like Tyreek to the Cowboys for a 2nd and a 4th.
I saw that too. And if Chris Greer does that, if he could get that done, that's a heist. If you get a 2nd and a 4th round, I saw that fish tank. And I kind of went, I perked up. I went, ooh, I would in a heartbeat, bro. In a heartbeat.
Yes.
90 and 101. Yeah. Bobby. Yeah. 90 and 101. Either one of those for Ramsey would be fine with me.
Both of them. Let's do it. Let's get it done. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Okay, so I want to ask this because we said Tyreek and George, you and I have not talked about this, and I have not seen it on your show, and that's just maybe I just missed it. Receivers, I know you've talked about every position. a popular player for Dolphin fans, if he was there at 13, that they go, oh, we do it in a heartbeat, is McMillan, because they love his size, and I get it. And I love his tape, and I love his size too. But I also will say that there are other receivers in this draft that get me perked up that you could get later on that could be like a steal. I mean, you brought up before the show Jaden Higgins. That's a big guy that you round 2 in that area. Where do you stand on that? Would you consider McMillan at 13? Would that?
Yeah, I mean, he's in that BPA conversation. He'd be an interesting.
Absolutely.
I think offensively there, if it's not, we're not talking about the need of offensive line or D tackle or a corner. The 2 tight ends and the wide receiver are interesting conversations to have, right? I loved McMillan just watching his games. As I dove in the film, I just cooled a little bit on him, but not to the point where I wouldn't be comfortable at 13. He'd be that true X receiver that they're lacking. It's and then you try to move on from Tyreek. If you bite the bullet and you just want to do addition by subtraction and eat the money, I don't think they'll do that post June 1st. You would have a young, big X receiver. Then you'd have your on Jalen Warren on the other side. Then you can complement your offense a little bit better and kind of have that a little bit more of a power scheme. Like even when we talk about drafting running backs, and I mentioned on the show, we don't necessarily have to take a wide zone running back. We need to be able to have some power running schemes and power running packages, especially in January and December and January. I'm not opposed to taking a guy who doesn't exactly fit to that outside zone. So getting a big receiver like him, who's got great hands, he's an excellent route runner, really good at the catch point in McMillan. Yes, if you took him and let's say you didn't take one, let's say Barron was there and you took McMillan or Johnson was there, I know a lot of fans would be like, what? But I wouldn't hate it. It would kind of start the evolution of the offense that I think needs to happen anyways. And then you can start looking, hey, you try to trade Tyreek, see what you can get. Get on the phone. Obviously, it's not going to be 2 1s, but get on the phone and say, look, we got our receiver. We're serious about moving him. We'll eat the money.
You just have to take the
Give
hit.
us a 4th or a 5th, and let's start the transition here. Yeah, so I would absolutely consider McMillan at 13. He's right in that range for me.
Let me ask you very quick, and then Fishing, I'll ask you the same question. But I just want to ask George very quick because you said running back and receiver. If 2 guys for both, is there any? Because I know you, like me, we like to look for those hidden guys, those guys that nobody talking about. But is there any receiver later on in the draft that catch your eye? And is there any running back in the draft later on that you'd be like?
I'll start receiver. He's on my man, Kurt. That's Isaac Tesla of Arkansas. 6'4", 214, runs 4.43, jumps out of the gym, physical, can play slot, can play the outside. Watch his tape, Bobby. He's fun. He's probably a day 3 guy. But again, I'm looking for size at both positions. Right? This team needs to get bigger. At running back, looking at the list, the guys that come off on my head like late rounds, not necessarily the power guys, but I love DJ Giddens as kind of a late round sleeper, and I love Dylan Sampson. He's so fun to watch.
Out of Tennessee.
Yeah. His elusiveness and his spin moves are fun. As far as bigger back, I mean, you have Gordon and you have Martinez in that range. I know you're huge. Gordon and
David Martinez, both of them. Ollie Gordon.
That I'm warming up to Gordon is early downs and short yardage situations.
Yep,
he can do that, right? I think my expectations were so high in him because of the Ollie Gordon, high prospect, former. We thinking a 2nd round pick. He's not that guy. If you're expecting
he's not that guy.
He doesn't have the creativity, agility, or explosiveness to do that. But in short yardage situations and red zone, I'm up for that. But Martinez, I think, offers you a little more versatility because he is elusive, he is creative.
But he offers you that power too, though.
And he has power. He's a little smaller than Gordon, but So I would say Giddens in day 3 is a guy I like, and Dylan Sampson is just a favorite of mine, right? Not necessarily a fit for the Dolphins, but if we're talking bigger backs, probably those 2 guys, Martinez and Gordon. But and Tesla, I'm a huge fan, man. Huge fan.
Savion Williams in there in the comments. TCU, and then talking another Tennessee guy, Deontay Thornton is a guy that intrigues me, man. 6'5", 202 pounds, I think. But I mean, my goodness, vertically Like you lose Tyreek, that you get that guy, you got that speed right back. The only problem with him is his routes.
Yeah. He's one. His deal. He's one trick pony.
Yes,
he's good. He's a deep route runner. He's a deep vertical threat. The thing I like about him, he's another guy I like. But Tesla, because I've been on him, I was thinking, more late day 3. But the thing about Thornton is that I like is he offers the size, the height, and the length, but he also meets McDaniel's speed requirement. So
yes,
I think he's somebody I think they could be looking at. Who's the other guy? Savion Williams. You know when I watch Savion Williams, Bobby, I know I'm sorry I get so when we talk prospects.
You're good, man. You're good.
I'm like, can he be a running back? Like when I watch him, like
he does it.
Be a running back. He's fun.
He does it. That's what he like as a pass catcher. That he's not. He has to work on that. He doesn't have the reliable. I've seen him when it's hit right in the chest and he drops it, balls it. But as a playmaker, once the ball's in his hands, whether that is a catch or a run, that is what he is. And he has the size, 6'4", he's a big bodied guy. You just brought up, Thornton is a one trick pony. Vertically, fish tank, he will burn you out of the ground. I mean, this kid is fast track speed Usain Bolt. I mean, and he has the size, and you know what? He tracks the ball. He tracks the ball. Like I've seen, first off, I don't know how to pronounce the name, so I'm not going to. But the quarterback out of Tennessee who left and caught a big stir, Nico, whatever.
Oh no, don't even.
He throws him deep, but it's not deep enough because the kid's out running the ball, so he has to slow down and catch it. That's how fast this kid is. And when you throw him into the end zone, he knows how to contort his body to make that catch. He's a good red zone threat. Here's the problem, though. You say run trick because vertically, that's all he really can do. If you tell him you can't keep up with him running side by side. Once he goes here, cuts into his route, he's going to slow down. It's he can only do exactly. That's something you have to worry. But I would be
trade Tyreek, Bobby. He could be a gravity puller. He could be a gravity puller. Yeah. So and with Link, I'm all for day 3. He's also one of the guys I like a lot. I agree with you, Bobby. Day 3, he's somebody I keep an eye on.
100%. Fish Tank McMillan at 13, sir. We went off the cup there for a second, but hey, maybe you got some names on there, Fish Tank, that you're maybe right now. You're like, oh wait, hold on a second.
We haven't talked to them. Me and Bobby haven't talked in a while, so that's why.
Hey, I'm just letting you guys go.
But Fish Tank, 13. Genty, Warren. You said Warren is that guy, but if McMillan is sitting there, is that someone that you'll be okay with Miami taking if Miami took him, or would you be like, I would rather not go receiver right there? I'd rather wait on that point. What kind of same question what we talked about before?
I wouldn't take him.
Okay.
For me, he's a big body and all that, and he can be impressive, but is he a true number 1 wide receiver? And if I'm going to take him at 13, he's got to be a true number 1 wide receiver. I don't know if McMillan has shown that he can outplay the corners in this league. I just think he's a top tier number 2.
Okay.
Close number 1. I think you're stretching a little bit to put him in as a number 1. It's just my opinion.
Okay. I think that's fair. That's a fair concern. Like, hey, is he a true number 1 guy? And so I've seen it, though. I'm going to be honest. This is a guy that early on in the draft process was in that top 10 range. And everybody, now as it continues to move on closer to the draft, he's slipping to Arizona. He's slipping to Seattle. And you see Matthew Golden from Texas is rising up boards. I'm losing the other guy. There's another receiver. Oh my goodness, Luther Burden, who I like a lot. I like Luther a lot.
Dang close.
Yeah, 100%.
If I can add on that, the only thing is, I think this draft doesn't have many 1 receivers in it. I don't love this wide receiver class. It has some depth, but there's not a lot of impact guys. I think McMillan has a chance to be maybe the only true number 1. And what I would like about it, I mentioned him at the X receiver position, the alpha. Waddle at the Z, you get the full potential. They complement each other well. That's where I would only push back on that. But I agree. If you don't if you don't think he's a true number 1, you don't take him at 13. So if that's your evaluation, and he belongs somewhere in that later first round for you then.
Well, and my follow up to that too is that I think because everybody goes, oh my goodness, now you have to draft the number 1 guy. at number 13. But I truly believe that if, and it might be homerism or not, and I know I don't get accused of that often, fish tank, but I believe that if you were to move Tyreek, I think Jalen Waddle gets back up to that number one receiver role. I think he could. I don't know what's been up with him the last couple seasons, but I think that if you remove Tyreek from that scenario and you put that on Jalen Waddle, he's that number one guy. Because there was before that it was 1A, 1B. And then all of a sudden it became a 1 and 2. I think he could be that number one guy where then you could afford getting that number two guy if it's 13 or 20 or go to 48.
I think you have a big issue trying to replace speed. I think that's your biggest issue. You know, you get rid of Tyreek, you got to replace that speed. And like you said, the other guy's a one-trick pony before George. And, you know, you can't have that either. But, you know, if you're going for a number two, there's plenty to choose from. I just would like to see somebody that's a big body. I want us to get a big body wide receiver, but that doesn't fit with the speed that they want all the time. You know, there aren't too many big bodies like Metcalfs that are going to push down the field, you know, not in this draft anyway.
I hear you. Let me just shout out everyone who's watching right now, wherever you're watching from. We appreciate you. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook or Twitch, YouTube, we appreciate you. If you're anywhere other than YouTube, hop on over, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. About almost 90 people watching right now. So we appreciate you guys taking your Saturday, Easter weekend to talk Dolphins with us. Let's get into our top preferred players at 13 for Miami. And how I preference this. I mean, and I the way I thought about it, guys, and you know, we could do a big research. Like you could go, oh, you know, I mean, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter. You know, my thing would be like, hey, let's just be real. Like, what player would probably be? Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Before you get into, if like, do we count one of the tackles falling, or is that unrealistic? Because
no, that's not unrealistic.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not unrealistic at all. Because I think there is a chance that they're going to be there.
Yeah, according to Justin Mello, who I had on, check out that show. That guy's really good, and that's just not me promoting the show. He's really knowledgeable.
It was very informative.
Yeah.
He
he told me, look. Oh, go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead.
No, you go. I'm sorry.
Yeah. He told me, he's like, you know, the guy you're not talking about possibly falling there is Will Campbell. He's not 100% sold. He didn't put the percentage high, but he's not 100% possibly sold that Campbell will go forward to the Patriots. And if he doesn't, where's his next landing spot? So, yeah, he'll probably be in my top 5 because we're not going to say, oh, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. Those, like you said, those guys are not, you know, top 5 realistic shots.
Yeah. So I think offensive line, those players there could be sitting there at 13. It's just like, hey, will they make, you know, do you do that? Now, we'll get into it, but I'll just say this.
Oh, man, fish tank.
There you go. I will say what the benefit of going that route, I wouldn't hate it. I would still go BPA. I wouldn't hate going that route. I don't want anybody to think, oh, Bobby, you know, I'm pissed that they went offensive line. No, I think you could get a decent guy in 2 and 3. I mean, at guard, you know, Tate Ratledge, Dylan Fairchild later, 7A from Arizona. There's other guys there, but Will Campbell sitting there. Yeah, he's a tackle coming out, but really, you could plug him in at guard, move him to tackle later. If Patrick Paul doesn't work out, that's an option. I know versatility is a bad word for Scotty. Calvin Banks is another guy, tackle, but you could put in guard and move him out. That's an option there. So something that has to be considered. But let's get into our top 5 guys and at preferred guys. Okay. And George, you'll start, give us your top 5 guys, fish tank, and then I'll follow up. So George, who are your top 5 preferred picks for Miami at 13?
I think Will Johnson and Barron, the 2 corners. Love Kenny Grant. I'm not moving off that. One of the tackles fall. Like, I know it's kind of being a little – if one of them fall, if Membu or Campbell fall, one of those guys definitely. And then my last player is probably an offensive player to have fun with. This is not 5, but one of the pass catchers. Either one of the tight ends or McMillan. Pass catcher, if a lineman drops, Johnson, Barron, Grant.
There you go. There you go. Fish tank.
I'm going to go out of the people that I think will be there.
100%.
And I think Tyler Warren might be there, the tight end. I think Calvin Banks might be there, the offensive tackle. He could do a lot for our team, Calvin Banks. And I think Golden might also be there if you're looking for a wide receiver, you know. I think our edge can hold, but, you know, you have the possibility of doing that. The other thing I'd look at is a defensive tackle, but I think there's a lot of defensive tackles in here that we could pick something up later.
Sure.
I'd look at getting Barron, or Barron would be my next one, and then maybe Tyler Booker.
There you go. I like it.
Good one.
Interesting. And I will say, you brought up Edge. You didn't bring up Swiss name, but you brought up Edge, and I'll tell you why. If some crazy scenario there, you know, I don't know, nobody other than Abdul Carter. If Abdul Carter, you go, oh my god, but but even late, like it's round 2, 3, whatever. If Miami was to go Edge, I wouldn't be upset because of Jalen Phillips can't stay healthy. Love him to death, but he's also going to come up on a contract year. Chubb, it more than likely only be one more year. You got to think about what happens after that. So, and you got to think about insurance, that if one of these guys go down, you could draft a guy and you're going to be good. If Mike Green is sitting there at 48
at a Marshall,
you'd be hard to pass up on someone like that. Scotty, I just want to bring up this because Scotty's asked about that. Georgia guys you can never sleep on with and that's why Tate Rowledge and Dillard Fairchild are guys that I do like them. But Scotty, George is asking you, what are your thoughts on Malachi Starks at 13?
Yeah, I'm still high on Starks. He's another guy who would probably, like you said, 6 players, or you gave me a 7, he'd be on there. Yeah, what's impressive about Starks is I think he's another guy we're overthinking to a little bit. The tape was better in 23 than it was in 24, but his ability to move his hips and his fluid ability at the catch point. Watch that interception he had against Clemson. He does things in the air. He's a true deep vertical free safety. He'd fit. He's not a hammer. He's not overly physical, but he's real smart. I've heard teams even like him at corner. Like he's got that kind of fluidity. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm a fan of Starks. He's a day one starter at free safety for the Dolphins. Again, if they took Starks, no problem. B plus pick.
There you go. There you go. And again, I will say, I would say that you can't sleep on on Georgia, a Georgia guy for Miami. I know they're very interested in the Georgia offensive line guys there, and there's 3 of them. I'm missing the 3rd guy right now, but
the center. I like the center.
The center. He could play center and he could play guard.
And he's super athletic.
Yeah, there's 3 guys there, man.
Jared Wilson.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. So for me, Jedi Barron out of Texas, Will Johnson, either one of those guys, sign me up.
Agreed.
And both offensive linemen, even though dude, I'm cool with waiting on offensive line. If Will Campbell and Calvin Banks are both sitting there, you have to consider them, right? And so they're on that list. And I'm going to be honest, I've kind of softened a little bit, or what do you call it? I don't know if that's the right word for that. On Kenneth Grant at 13. I know, you know, his I love what I saw on I like what I saw on tape. And I think, you know, he is in that range, but I've seen he's in the range and from the top 5 and he's all over the board. And so, you know, but it's not something where I'm like, oh God, but it's like, there's like, he's, you know, there's enough, but not enough. Like Mason Graham, if he's sitting there, you have to think of that, right? I like Mason Graham a lot. But Tyler Warren is there. Honorable mention, Amin-Rari. I know we just brought up Starks. I like Nick Amin-Rari from South Carolina. I know we got 2 safeties. We signed them, but those guys, again, can't stay healthy. The other, Ashton Davis, is not a guy that should be a starter. You know, I know Chris Greer was like, oh, we have 4 guys we like, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, I think safety is not something you should sleep on at 13. And Malachi Starks is one of those guys, right? But Nick Amin-Rari is a guy that I like a lot. No, I don't let you know how I am, Scott. You've been watching enough, but I just kind of seeing what that is. But that's why when I watched his film, I saw a lot to like, but also I saw a lot of stuff that kind of was like, it's kind of like McMillan. There's guys that you watch. Okay, Sanders is the perfect type of one. It's like the national media is so high on Sanders. Oh, he could be number one. Oh, he could be the top two, top three. I put on the film, and I'm like, and I go in there going, okay, sell me. And I watch it, and I don't. And I had a third round grade on him. I watched him again. I watched more games. It's moved up to late second, early third. That doesn't mean he's not going in the first round. I know he is, right? Realistically. But like, you can't allow, you're right, Scott. You can't allow anybody's other opinion. Like, if I'm listening to George and George is saying, man, there's somebody on Twitter yesterday, and God bless him, but he was like, Jedi Baron's not even he's not worth the 13th pick. He's not worth the first round pick. He's a second round pick. He's not even worth that. He can't do this. He can't do that. Whatever the hell he wrote. And if I, I'd be like, okay, he's right. No. I was I thought I was polite, and I appreciate it. Everyone has a different point of view, but I just said respectfully, all due respect, you don't know what you're talking about. You just proved it.
You're too nice. If he tells me Jahad Barron doesn't belong in the first round, I wouldn't even respond to him.
I almost did not, and because my grandfather taught me, when you see someone doesn't know what they're saying, just shut up and walk away. Don't waste time. But I was just like, I said, with all due respect, and I thought of that thing was like, well, all due respect, you're an idiot. They're like, you can't say it. No, I said, with all due respect, though. I said, that's how I felt when I wrote it. But I was like, I could have been Fish Tank and just gone in on him, but I didn't do that. I did think of Fish Tank when I was doing it, because I don't respond to people like that just say, because to me it's like, I can understand, like, if you go, man, I just don't think it's a 13th pick. Like, I would trade down, but reality, he might not even be there at 13. But
man.
I respect. I get that. I can understand.
Lately.
I know you've been good.
You have been, Bobby. I will say something in your defense, and this is kind of what the problem is with this draft. There's 4 blue chip prospects, dude. The rest of them are jumbled up, and it's whatever you like. Like, I like Kenny Grant because of what he offers, his size, his strength, the ability to move people in the run game. He doesn't offer as much pass rush as Derek Harmon or Walter Nolan or somebody like that. I just like him as a fit here. But some people have him ranked 25. Some people have him ranked 7. That's this draft, guys.
That is what this draft is.
That's in defense. It's whatever you like. It's like, and that's, it's almost,
and that's the other thing
this
too.
Draft, me and Bobby are too aligned. I don't like it.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing, right? We're talking Will Johnson today, Baron. I keep saying it. Like, I'm mad that I'm so like in on these guys, because I know Miami's not going to go that route. They're going to go, I don't know, Trey Amos. Not that I don't want to say it because it sounds bad. I don't mean that. But they could go Trey Amos at 13. You're like, oh, 13. We could have waited on that. That's just what they do. But I don't want to say, because Trey Amos could be drafted. He could be the shit. That's why this is what I don't like. And this is just a PSA to everyone out there. Because someone else tweeted something else about it because they saw those comments. And they were like, it's not, because I said to each their own. That's what I said. And I mean that. Everybody has their own opinion. It's not to each their own. I'm not into drafting bust. How the hell do you know who's going to be a bust? We say, hey, you know what, man? I just don't see it with Shedeur Sanders. He's not he's not a first round pick on my grade alone. But guess what? He may go to the league and blow it up, and maybe hey, I'm not gonna say, oh, that's be a bust. I hate when people do that, dude. It's like
point, yeah. And guys who get paid to do this, the best in the business, if they're right half of the time, they're considered elite. So I mean, we're gonna be wrong, man, and so are the guys who run the teams.
Exactly, 100%.
And that's why I don't get caught up. I don't judge people's. You have this person up here, unless you have something totally ridiculous, dude. That's what you. That's your opinion.
I'm not. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. I've been wrong 1,000 times too.
Absolutely.
It's just what it is. Every pick is a roll of the dice that Scotty puts in there. And for 72 undefeated, and I'll let Fish Tank. I'm going to say my point. I'll let Fish Tank go off this as well. Buffalo is better. New England is better. Jets and Miami are bottom dwelling. I think we learn to, that's my thing. I'm not going to pretend that Miami is going to make a monster run and all this, whatever the hell next year. But I think that's the way we got to think of this team right now, is that this is a team, they don't want to admit it. And it sucks because you think of, man, we're still in kind of the same group. Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel, whatever. It's a reset. Right? It's kind of like, we're going to lose a couple star players, and more than likely, we're not going to be a good team. We're going to cheer. We're going to scream. We're going to shout. We're going to get excited when they touchdown and whatever. You're going to hope. But let's get out of the fantasy that they're going to be bigger than what they are. Let's have low expectations, would help and be highly excited next year. But that's why this draft is so important. This is the draft that you got to come away with at least 5 day one contributors. And I'm not saying starters. It'd be great to get 3 starters out of this, but guys that could contribute day one, because those are going to be your building blocks for the seasons following it. You're not getting a guy who's going to change your franchise, but you're going to get guys who are going to help sustain it when you eventually, hopefully, figured it the hell out, if you can figure it out. Fish Tank, do you think, just to ask you, Buffalo, obviously, we know where Buffalo is. Big brother. That's who they are. New England absolutely got better. Vrabel and what they've done and what they could do at number 4 with whoever's remaining on the board at that point. Jets are the Jets. Sorry, Russ. It is what it is. And the Dolphins. Do you think the Dolphins are in the bottom dwelling, or do you, even though it's kind of crazy right now, is there a little glimmer of hope, like, hey, they could figure this out? I think they could compete. It's a little early for that, but what do you feel about that comment?
Well, your offense is still intact. Your offense hasn't really changed that much. When you take a good look at it, your key players are still there. The biggest thing we've lost in terms of a loss is Smythe. So, to be honest with you, we're still in the same position. We need to shore up that offensive line a little bit, and that'll help a lot. Now, whether that's bringing in a tight end that's another good blocker and pass catcher like a Tyler Warren, whether that's bringing in an OT, an OG, I don't care. Bring somebody in for that line. And, after that, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot and put themselves where they need too much, in my opinion. And unfortunately, I think that might lead to them looking at trading back and still picking up somebody they can plug and play day one is what I think they might do to fill that gap if we're not getting picks for Ramsey or Hill or anybody else. Like George was saying, we need that pick in between that 100. Yeah. We
48
that
and 90
something. We got to get something in there. And right now, based on what we have, all we have is a trade back. That's all we have right now. And I think there'll be enough players sitting there where if we trade back 3 to 5 spots, we'll be fine. They could still pick somebody up that's a plug-and-play starter, in my opinion. You go much further than that, might not get that. So it's a risky move. And I really hope that Greer and his staff have a great plan going in, because we have a lot of needs on this team. Now, are we going to turn around and bust out, hundreds of yards on everybody every game and all that because we still have most of our offense intact? I don't know. We could really do well on offense still. It's the defense that I'm really concerned about. D-tackle, safety, linebacker, cornerbacks. And I say cornerbacks, plural.
That's fair.
Wow. The defense, I don't know. The defense really worries me, Bobby. If I'm looking at this team as a whole, the defense has me very concerned. Or before we've drafted or gone into our next series of free agents, I'm concerned. And
I think that's fair.
I'm talking like an 8-win season concerned.
Yeah. And I think I think that's logical. I think that's fair. Scotty says draft an O-line defense, right? And you can compete. I think he's talking about defensive line, but also you got to think about corner. I'm sure that's what but like O-line, okay. Let's say Miami goes corner with pick 13, right? Okay. Whether that's Will or Jedi Barron. Awesome. Round 2 comes. Miami looks, and let's say they go defensive line at that point. Let's say it's an Alfred Collins or Norman Lott out of Tennessee or whomever, whoever you could put in that spot. Because like you said, George, it's not too far in between where those guys are.
Yeah.
And then you think of that round 3, 98, or you move up a little bit, and let's say you come away with a Tate Ratledge or a Fairchild or whomever, right? And let's say, okay, now your offensive line is, and you may have another offensive line guy, George. I'm talking about those George guys, but you got Paul, who's a mystery. We'll see how he goes as the starter. We got Paul, Ratledge, Brewer, Daniels, Jackson, right? And you got the backup guys. You got that there. Are you feeling comfortable? Now, again, here's the other thing. I still think you got to double dip on offensive line. I think, and you might have that option. You might get a guy that you go, man, that guy shouldn't still be there. And he's there because, mock drafts could throw guys all over the place. A guy that I think could, I the more mock drafts I do, I see Texas a lot. And I'm like, too many Texas guys going here. But, Cameron Williams out of Texas, that's a guy who might be available in the mid rounds who's a tackle that, he's, there's some things you got to work on. But if you're getting him in the mid rounds, that's not a bad pick later on if you got an earlier offensive line guy. So Miami might be able to get a couple quality guys. Now, will they do it? I don't know. History shows they haven't, but we could pray. George, what are your thoughts on Willie Lampkin out of North Carolina as a day 3 pick? Size issues for sure. First off, I like the film. He has heart. I'm sorry, George. I'll just say this, and then I'll let you go. He has heart. When I watched him, there's a lot to like about this kid. I mean, I love motor. Like when you have no quit, he has that. Size is a huge concern. If he was 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", whatever you want to say, he'd be in that day 2 range, But he's 5. What is he? 5'11", 5'10",
like 5'10", 270.
Talk to me, George.
Yeah, okay, so I agree with you. If he was 6'2", 6'3", I don't think day 2. His film was like day 1.
Yeah, he's really good.
Like
man.
People question his size, but he blocks the heck out of everybody in the Senior Bowl and on film. You know where I would do with him? How about fullback? 5'10", 270, a Pat Ricard type guy. He's an interesting prospect. His film, it's just he's an outlier. Like, where's the 5'10", 270-pound offensive lineman in the league? But, man, he's intriguing. I would have a package for him in short yardage as a fullback.
If he's sitting there with those, if you still have 3 7th-round picks or 2, whatever it is, and he's still on that board, I'm not upset if they take him. Give him a shot.
Imagine him at 270, the way he can block at fullback when this team struggles in short yardage. And, heck, let's see what he does at center behind Brewer.
I love that. Brewer's
small,
dude.
But Brewer's like 6 foot to 290. You know what I mean? But, yeah, it's like Scotty. You're on to someone Lampkin. He's fun.
I like Willie Lampkin a lot, man. I do. It's just the size is a thing, but I love the idea of fullback. But again, you're right. Center's another position you could. And if all goes to hell and everybody's getting hurt, throw him in there. Maybe you find maybe he does what he did at North Carolina. But anywho, we're at the hour here. A lot of this is awesome. This is what I love. I just love obviously hanging with Fish Tank. But George, you and I, man, once we get going, dude.
I just sat back and let you two go today.
It would have been easy to do a draft live stream with us too.
All right, we could have just gone.
Maybe next
Everyone take the night off. We got it. We're good.
Maybe next year we can do something. We simulcast it on both channels or something.
100%. Hey, dude. Yeah. Hey, but Fish Tank,
yes, sir.
Again, thank you so much. I know how busy you are, but I know how committed you are too about coming on. You love doing this, and we love talking Dolphins, and it's exciting, man. And it's like, there's a lot of right. We could all go, oh, dude, this sucks. This is this, but it's the Dolphins, dude. And I bleed aqua and orange till the day I die, and I'm always going to be excited to talk and, pray for the best, but I know you're busy. You got a busy day, but any final thoughts before we wrap this up? And, of course, I'll see you on Saturday and a little bit on Thursday because you will be, I think you're at the draft party, right?
I'm supposed to have tickets to a draft party from the Dolphins. Yeah, but I haven't seen I haven't seen the email come through. So it's supposed to be the 24th, I think.
Okay. I think my mother and my sister might be there. She just said that she got tickets. So I was like, cool. So if you guys might run into each other, that would be pretty cool. Maybe you guys could do a little live there. Hey, we're here and all that. That would be pretty neat. But So we'll see you a little bit on Thursday night if you're there. Even if you're not, you'll pop in, give your thoughts on Miami's pick after Miami's pick. But on Saturday, Fish Tank and I will be here starting day 3 live draft coverage, talk about the Dolphins pick, talk about the other picks. We'll be on longer than we usually are together. We'll be on probably for 2 hours, and then we'll get some relief. And Fish Tank will go ahead and party it up, and I'll probably take a break and have to pop back in. But either way, I really do, dude. People, I don't know how you do it. I love this. I love doing this.
It's fun.
It is.
I get to meet all these people
year,
like George and everybody else. I enjoy it. I like coming on and discussing. I learn a lot, especially going back and forth with you, Bobby. I learn what I don't know half the time.
We have fun, my man. We have fun.
You definitely need to get some
definitely
breaks,
not
though,
the
Bobby.
sharpest
Bathroom
tool.
breaks and all that.
Oh, man, you're great, Hank. George, my man. I love talking with you, dude, when we talk this stuff, because I remember last year, like when we first talked to you on the phone, we talked for a long time just about the draft in Miami and everything else. So, but my man, what do you got going on this week? I know you got a busy week ahead, family in this one, but what's going on this week with you, man? You got anything going on?
Monday show, we're gonna talk draft, the Ramsey stuff, Chris, everything with Richard Webb's coming on, so that's fun. Former Dolphins, obviously. Great offensive lineman, so you get his thoughts on all that. Wednesday, I'll have another show. Probably be final mock draft, probably top 100 board reveal, and then Thursday we'll have a pre-draft show. Everything is fluid because Sarni, my partner, who we do on the on-season on Thursdays, he's still got to get his schedule with me. But just look out. We'll post it on social media. We'll be busy, and I'm thinking about trying to do a recap after each pick each day, maybe 30 minutes or so. So it's still fluid, but we'll have you covered. And of course, you guys will have you covered over here. So thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Hank. This is fun. Finally, we get to the draft, man. I'm tired of talking about it. and let's go, right?
It's Christmas. It's Christmas.
It is Christmas. It is. And so but I will say, guys, again, Finn's Faithful Podcast with George on YouTube. I mean, content Monday and Thursday with Jason Sarney. You got to follow up on them. Great stuff. George does his homework. He has great guests on there. Other friends of the channel, the guys you guys give a shout out to and a follow. If you don't already, 305 Sports Now with Will Patrone, Miss Finn's, the Dive Bar Podcast, who was in the comments earlier. Give them a shout. The Miami Heat Zone for Martell for the Miami Heat, who are going to the playoffs. Is
that a good or a bad thing?
Well, that's a good thing. To me, it was a win-win.
I wanted to kind of pick 11 and 19. I wanted those.
I know. Look, to me, it was a win-win because if you lost, you got to two draft picks. Now that you win, you're in the playoff. Listen, not for me, brother. All day, every day. You get to the playoffs. You get to the playoffs, and then next year you have a first-round pick. So now you still have a first round. It's
not unprotected.
It's not unprotected. Now you're good. You're safe. Just whatever you get.
Tyler Hero. Shout out to
Tyler Hero. Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell.
What a pickup. Him and Slow-Mo. Those are like they got alpha role players now, man. That's I see a lot of those haters are silenced all of a sudden. And then of course the Florida Panthers playoffs, Tampa Bay Lightning Tuesday night. Best run organization in South Florida. Second to none. If Bill Zito was a GM of the Dolphins,
somebody told me that they were like, man, if Pat Riley was running the Dolphins, I think everybody.
I'd rather have Bill Zito running the Dolphins. Tyreek, Ramsey, and there'd be another.
Oh, and Finn's TV. Sorry, Finn's TV's another one.
Oh yes,
Sammy. Those guys are awesome.
I'll be on with those guys on the 29th, I think.
I've never been on their show, but I've been in the background with doing some stuff and all that. But they're good guys. So, anywho. Guys, appreciate you all tuning in. I'll be back here in just a few hours covering pre-show for WrestleMania. Fish Tank's like, hi, Bobby.
What a week for you. How close is WrestleMania in the draft? Is it close?
Yeah, WrestleMania is today. There's 2 days. Today and tomorrow.
I know that. But how close is it for the two? If you had you're on island,
if I had to go with one,
and you only could go with one,
I'd go with draft, dude. I love wrestling. Don't get me wrong. I am. WrestleMania is fun. I'm down with that. But like, I love football, dude. Sports is my. You know what I mean? Well, it's football in general. But no, WrestleMania night 1 and 2. I'll be on tomorrow twice again. But that's okay. Love doing it. But anyway, appreciate you all. Like and subscribe. most importantly, Dolphin fans, as always, that's the one and only Fish Tank Hank. That's George of the Fins Faithful Pod. I'm Bobby Finstock. Like, subscribe, and fins up.